back to another episode of The Reading Corner with me, Mr. M. Today we're going to be reading part 2 of The Children of Loki. Last week we started this story and I'm really enjoying reading it, and I hope you are as well. Today we're going to be reading the second part of 3 parts, and then next week we will finish this story. So, without further ado, let's get started. When they had brought the third and smallest of Loki's children back from the land of the giants, it had been puppy-sized, and Tyr had scratched its neck and its head and played with it, removing its willow muzzle first. It was a wolf cub, grey and black, and with eyes the colour of dark amber. The wolf cub ate its meat raw, but it spoke as a man would speak, in the language of men and the gods, and it was proud. The little beast was called Fenrir. It too was growing fast. One day it was the size of a wolf, the next the size of a cave bear, then the size of a great elk. The gods were intimidated by it, all except Tyr. He still played with it and romped with it, and alone he fed the wolf its meat each day. And each day the beast ate more than the day before, and each day it grew, and it became fiercer and stronger. Odin watched the wolf child grow, and with foreboding, for in his dreams the wolf had been there at the end of everything. And the last things Odin had seen in any of his dreams of the future were the topaz eyes and the sharp white teeth of Fenris wolf. The gods had a council, and resolved at the council that they would bind Fenrir. They crafted heavy chains and shackles in the forges of the gods, and they carried the shackles to Fenrir. "Here," said the gods, as if suggesting a new game. "You have grown so fast, Fenrir. It is time to test your strength. We have here the heaviest chains and shackles. Do you think you can break them?"
"I think I can," said Fenris Wolf. "Bind me."
The gods wrapped the huge chains around Fenrir and shackled his paws. He waited motionless while they did this. The gods smiled at each other as they chained the enormous wolf. "Now," shouted Thor. Fenrir strained and stretched the muscles of his legs, and the chains snapped like dry twigs. The great wolf howled to the moon, a howl of triumph and joy.
"I broke your chains," he said. "Do not forget this."
"We will not forget," said the gods. The next day Tyr went to take the wolf his meat.
"I broke the fetters," said Fenrir. "I broke them easily."
"You did," said Tyr.
"Do you think they will test me again? I grow, and I grow stronger with every day."
"They will test you again. I would wager my right hand on it," said Tyr. The wolf was still growing, and the gods were in the smithies, forging a new set of chains. Each link in the chain was too heavy for a normal man to lift. The metal of the chains was the strongest metal that the gods could find, iron from the earth mixed with iron that had fallen from the sky. They called these chains Dromi. The gods hauled the chains to where Fenrir slept. The wolf opened his eyes.
"Again?"
he said. "If you can escape from these chains," said the gods, "then your renown and your strength will be known to all the worlds. Glory will be yours. If chains like this cannot hold you, then your strength will be greater than that of any of the gods or giants." Fenrir nodded at this and looked at the chains called Dromi. Bigger than any chains had ever been, stronger than the strongest of bonds.
"There is no glory without danger," said the wolf after some moments. "I believe I can break these bindings. Chain me up."
They chained him. The great wolf stretched and strained, but the chains held. The gods looked at each other, and there was the beginning of the triumph in their eyes. But now the huge wolf began to twist and writhe, to kick out his legs and strain in every muscle and every sinew. His eyes flashed and his teeth flashed and his jaws foamed. He growled as he writhed. He struggled with all his might. The gods moved back involuntarily, and it was good that they did so, for the chains fractured and then broke with such violence that the pieces were thrown far into the air, and for years to come the gods would find lumps of shattered shackles embedded in the sides of huge trees or the side of a mountain.
"Yes!"
shouted Fenrir, and he howled in his victory like a wolf and like a man. The gods who had watched the struggle did not seem, the wolf observed, to delight in his victory. Not even Tyr. Fenrir, Loki's child, brooded on this and on other matters, and Fenrir's wolf grew huger and hungrier with each day that passed. Odin brooded, and he pondered, and he thought. All the wisdom of Mimir as well was his, and the wisdom he had gained from hanging from the world tree, a sacrifice to himself. At last he called the light elf Skirnir, Frey's messenger, to his side, and he described the chain called Gleipnir. Skirnir rode his horse across the rainbow bridge to Svartalfheim, with instructions to the dwarfs for how to create a chain unlike anything ever made before. The dwarfs listened to Skirnir describe this commission, and they shivered, and they named their price. Skirnir agreed, as he had been instructed to do so by Odin, although the dwarfs' price was high. The dwarves gathered the ingredients that they would need to make Gleipnir. These were the 6 things the dwarves gathered. For firstly, the footsteps of a cat. For secondly, the beard of a woman. For thirdly, the roots of a mountain. For fourthly, the sinews of a bear. For fifthly, the breath of a fish. For sixth and lastly, the spittle of a bird. Each of these things was used to make Gleipnir. You say you have not heard of these things. Of course you have not. The dwarves used them in their crafting. When the dwarves had finished their crafting, they gave Skirnir a wooden box. Inside the box was something that looked like a long silken ribbon, smooth and soft to the touch. It was almost transparent and weighed next to nothing. Skirnir rode back to Asgard with his box at his side. He arrived late in the evening after the sun had set. He showed the gods what he had brought back from the workshop of the dwarves, and they were amazed to see it. And that is where we will finish today. I really hope you enjoyed this story today, this part of the story. We're going to finish this part next week, and I think you'll enjoy the ending to this one as well. So, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.